Hello there. Welcome to Scenario 100, where every story begins with 100. Day 1. The silence. Everything stopped at 0217 a.m. No warning, no flickering lights, no sirens, just an abrupt silence. At first, I thought it was just a neighborhood outage, but as I stepped outside, the entire horizon was dark. No house lights, no street lamps, no distant hum of traffic. Even the sky looked heavier, as if it had swallowed the light of the city. Phones didn't work. I tried turning on the radio. Nothing. The last thing I remember before the blackout was the soft glow of my laptop. Now even the stars seemed brighter than usual. I fill the bathtub and every bottle I can find with tap water. I don't know how long the pumps will last. I light the few candles I have and make a list in my notebook. Check food supplies tomorrow morning. Secure water before day 3. Evaluate neighbors, reactions, potential allies, or threats. Tonight, I sleep uncomfortably surrounded by darkness I haven't felt in years. Day 2, first waves of panic. Morning feels different. No alarms, no buzzing phones, just the sound of birds and uneasy silence. On the street, people stand in clusters asking each other the same useless questions. Do you know what happened? Did you hear anything on the radio? When do you think it'll come back? No one has answers. By afternoon, refrigerators are already warming. I cook eggs and vegetables, whatever will spoil first. I share a small portion with the old man next door. I want to establish early trust. People are beginning to hoard water. At the supermarket, cash registers are dead and workers are writing down transactions on paper. Most credit and debit cards are useless. Now, I use the last bit of my phone battery to take notes on stored items. Have to switch to pen and paper after tomorrow. I set a reminder in my notebook. If power isn't back by day 5, organize candles and wood for light and fire. Plan how to preserve food by day 10. Day 3, mapping the world around me. Today is about observation and movement. I walk further than usual, mapping the neighborhood. A park 3 blocks away has an old hand pump. Well, there are several buildings with solar panels, but without inverters, they're mostly useless for the average person. A nearby pharmacy is still guarded, but their refrigeration units have failed. Medicine will spoil fast. I collect seeds from a small community garden, tomatoes, beans, herbs. I clear a patch of ground behind my house and plant them carefully. It's symbolic, more than practical. They won't help now, but by day 35, if all goes well, they'll start producing food. On my way back, I notice an increasing number of boarded-up storefronts. Fear is setting in. Tonight, I move my stored food to a cooler corner of the house and sleep with a kitchen knife close to me. Not because I want to use it, but because others might. Day 4, adjusting to the new rhythm. Without electric light, I naturally wake up at sunrise. It's strange how quickly the body falls into old patterns. I boil water using a small camping stove I bought years ago and never used. I decide to ration 1 hot drink a day. I build a basic rainwater collection system with plastic sheets and buckets. It's crude but functional. If it rains, this could become my main water supply. I write down, check, and clean water barrels on day 12. Start digging a storage pit before day 10. I also talk to my neighbors. A few of us agree to meet at the library tomorrow to discuss forming a small safety group. Community might be the difference between survival and chaos. Day 5. The first meeting. The library smells like dust and paper, but it's the perfect place. A dozen people show up. Some are anxious, some calm, some carrying whatever they could. Candles, notebooks, small tools. We talk about protecting shared resources, setting up night watches, creating a communal message board on the library door. It's incredible how fast we begin building small structures of civilization when the big one falls apart. I take note of the people I can trust One woman knows how to purify water without chemicals. A man used to work on farms and understands soil. I suggest making a shared garden by day 15. Everyone agrees to meet again in 3 days. Day 6, the first signs of change. The neighborhood feels different. Less shouting, more quiet movement. Some people are working together. Others have started locking their homes like fortresses. I spend the morning digging a pit behind my house. The earth is cool. It can act as a primitive fridge. I line it with stones and cover it. With wooden boards, I also test the rainwater system. A brief drizzle fills one bucket halfway. Success. I decide to add more buckets by day 8. People whisper about looting happening in the next district. I sharpen a stick into a crude spear. I hate that it's come to this. But security matters now. I also start keeping a daily logbook of everything. Food weight, water levels, seed growth. Day 7. First fire. Night gas is running low. Tonight, I build a controlled fire pit in my yard using bricks and old metal grates. Cooking over an open flame feels ancient. It's a reminder of how fragile our modern comforts were. I cook the last of the meat and preserve what I can in salt. I make a small jar of dried herbs from the garden seeds I planted. They haven't sprouted yet, but I plan ahead. If the world is truly without power, food preservation will define survival. At the community board, I read notes left by others. Generator at the clinic, failing. Bridge road blocked. Watch schedule starts. Day 9. I sign up for night watch. Day 8. New patterns. Today feels like the first real routine. Wake up, boil. Water, check the pit, check. The buckets, patrol the street. Return, rest, repeat. The rainwater barrels are holding well, though the smell is starting to develop. It'll need charcoal filtration soon, maybe by day 15. At the library, people bring news. The nearest city is also dark. This isn't local. It's everywhere. We discussed building a larger communal garden at the old schoolyard. Seeds will be planted on day 12 with the first inspection planned for day 35. If that succeeds, it'll feed dozens. Day 9, night watch. My first night watch shift from 1 a.m. to 4 a.m. The sky is so black it almost feels infinite. Any sound, footsteps, whispers, rustling leaves is amplified. At 2:15, we spot a group of strangers moving near the pharmacy. We don't confront them, but the message is clear. People are starting to scavenge aggressively. After the shift, I sleep lightly. I realize how vulnerable we all are without something as simple as streetlights. I make a note. Fortify windows by day 14. Reinforce doors with wooden planks. Day 10. The first theft. Morning brings bad news. Someone stole buckets from the rainwater system at the corner house. Not food, just containers. That tells me desperation is spreading. I spend the day building a better lock for my water and digging deeper into the storage pit. I also move some food to the library's shared vault, a hidden room we decided to secure together. In the afternoon, the seedbed shows tiny signs of life. Just small green tips poking through. It's early, but it means something. If the blackout continues, food will not magically appear. It must be built. Day 11. Rebuilding. What's lost? The blackout has now lasted nearly 2 weeks. People have stopped asking when power will come back. Instead, they ask what's next. We clear out the schoolyard together, breaking up old asphalt to expose soil. The sound of shovels replaces the sound of engines. It feels primitive and strangely unifying. A small group plans to send scouts outside the district on day 15 to look for resources or working infrastructure. I volunteer to help organize, but not to leave yet. My priority is protecting the base here. I build a clay filter for the water system. It's slow but clean. Day 12. The garden expands. Today, we plant rows of beans, tomatoes, and herbs at the schoolyard. Everyone contributes something: seeds, tools, labor, hope. We mark the expected sprouting around day 3540 and harvest somewhere after day 70, if weather allows. At home, my barrels are nearly full. It rained heavily overnight. I feel a strange sense of pride, not in technology, but in adaptation. I also patch up my windows with planks and cover reflective surfaces. I want my house to disappear into the night, not stand out. Day 13. The birth of a new economy. Without money, people are trading skills. A neighbor sharpens tools in exchange for vegetables. Someone else teaches first. Aid in return for water. I trade a jar of preserved food for a hand-drawn map of the area showing wells, gardens, safe zones, and places to avoid. The city is fragmenting into small circles of trust, and I realize something chilling. Civilization isn't gone. It's just shrinking. I plan to reinforce my doorframe by day 16, day 14. Trouble on the edge. Scouts return with unsettling news. People outside our neighborhood are forming roaming groups, scavenging aggressively. Therese talk of raided shops and burned houses. At the library meeting, we agree to set up a perimeter. Watchtowers are too advanced, but we can build wooden posts and use bells as alarms. I also take my first real bath with boiled rainwater. It's not luxurious, but it feels like gold. I realize hygiene will become just as important as food. Day 15. Foundation. The garden is in place. The rainwater system is stable. Food is low but rationed. Our group has grown into a structured community. Shared library hub. Watch schedule, basic food network. Barter system. Power isn't coming back. It's clear now, survival depends entirely on adaptation. As the sun sets, the neighborhood sits around a fire. At the library courtyard, no phones, no lights, no noise. Just humans talking. It's both terrifying and beautiful. Day 16. The walls go up. We spend the morning reinforcing homes. Wooden boards, nailed frames, improvised barricades. Nothing fancy, just enough to keep strangers out at night we can't rely on. Locks alone anymore. At the library meeting, I propose creating a signal system. 3 short bell rings for danger, 1 long ring for help. It's simple and loud enough to alert everyone in the neighborhood. I also finish reinforcing my door with metal scraps from a junk pile. It's not beautiful, but beauty isn't currency anymore. Security is. Before sleeping, I check my barrels in the food pit. Everything's still safe. But I notice one thing: rats. I'll need to secure the pit better by day 18. Predators, human or animal, are starting to follow the scent of food. Day 17. First tensions. It was bound to happen. 2 neighbors argue over water collected during the last rainfall. One accuses the other of taking more than their share. The library meeting turns into a heated debate about rationing. Therese: no official government here, only trust. But trust is fragile. We vote awkward, messy, but necessary to formalize resource sharing. Everyone contributes a portion of water and food to the communal reserves. Everyone gets a minimum share. Hoarding is discouraged. I watch faces closely. Some agree, some smile too quickly. Others avoid eye contact. Tension is quiet, but it's growing. 8. Home. I add metal mesh to the food pit to keep rodents out. I also sharpen my stick weapon further, not because I want to use it, but because I might have to. Day 18. Night visitors. It happens around 2:40 am, a scraping sound at the edge of my house. I wake up silently, hand on the stick. There are shadows outside. Not animals. People. With quiet unease. Patrols are doubled. We decide to build perimeter alarms using strings and empty cans. Crude but effective. By day 20, the system should be complete. I also check the seedlings I planted on day 3. They're growing small, green, fragile. Life in the middle of collapse. It gives me hope and something to protect. Day 19. Firewood becomes currency. Without electricity, everything revolves around fire. Fire for cooking, fire for light, fire for warmth. But wood is running low in the neighborhood. A group organizes a wood-collecting expedition to the outskirts. I join them. It's quiet in the forest, unsettlingly quiet. We cut fallen branches and dead trees. We avoid making too much noise. By the time we return, our cart is heavy. The woodpile becomes the new treasury. People trade food and water for firewood. Now I decide to store enough to last until day 30. Beyond that, who knows? Day 20, first confrontation. The strangers return, this time not to watch. A group of 5, desperate or dangerous, it's hard to tell. They approach the barricade at night. We ring the bell. Our group forms a line holding makeshift weapons. It's tense. One man demands water. We offer a small amount, but they want more. It's the first real standoff. In the end, they back away, but everyone feels the weight of it. We are no longer alone in the dark. We're sharing it with others who want what we have. I decide to sleep. In shifts from now on, one eye open, one hand near the stick. Day 21, the rules of the new world. After the confrontation, the community agrees to basic rules. Shared water is guarded. No one approaches alone at night. All newcomers must be questioned before entering the library perimeter. Night watch shifts are mandatory. In part of the midnight patrol now, the darkness doesn't feel empty anymore. It feels like a living thing. At home, I start experimenting with charcoal water filtration, stacking layers in a barrel. It's slow but cleaner than what we used before. The seedlings are getting bigger. If they survive until day 35, I'll transplant them to the communal garden. Day 22, barter becomes law. Paper money has lost meaning. Coins are meaningless. Now value looks like this: 1 liter of clean water, 1 firewood bundle, 1 handful of beans, 1 candle, 1 sharpened tool. Several meals. I trade a spare bucket for a bag of salt, a powerful preservative. Salt might be more valuable than gold. Soon we set up a barter wall at the library where people can pin what they need and what they offer. It feels organized, primitive, but structured. Day 23. Rain returns. Heavy rain today, a blessing. My barrels overflow. I collect more buckets, cover them with cloth to keep insects out. The library group works together to direct rainwater into larger communal containers. For the first time in days, I feel a bit of relief. But the storm also knocks down one of the perimeter strings. I fix it at night, soaked in freezing. Note to self: reinforce rain catchment structure by day 25. Bury 2 spare barrels underground to keep them cool. Day 24. Silent city. I walk beyond the perimeter today, just a kilometer or 2. The city feels abandoned. Buildings stand like empty shells. Burned out cars line the streets. Therese, no sound except wind and distant crows. But there are signs of movement, footprints, scraps of clothing, small smoke trails in the distance. Other groups are out there. I return quickly, leaving no trail. The world has shrunk to our neighborhood, and yet it's also more dangerous than ever. Day 25. Building the cache. Following yesterday's unease, we decide to bury an emergency cache barrels with food, salt water, and tools in case we're ever forced to flee. It's hidden under the old schoolyard, marked only by a symbol known to our group. At home, I dig a second pit for cool storage. I also reinforce my windows again. Every nail and plank feels like a small victory. I check the seedlings at night. They're taller now, thin and green. Day 35 is close. Day 26. First outsider joins today. Someone approaches during daylight. A woman, alone, unarmed. She carries a small pack and asks to join the community. We bring her to the library, question her gently but firmly. She has medical training, a nurse. That changes everything. Medicine is gold. Now we let her in under strict agreements. It's strange how quickly a community becomes a system. Trust isn't given freely anymore. It's negotiated. Day 27. Health is power. The new member helps clean wounds, teaches us how to make disinfectant using boiled water, ash, and alcohol from a nearby abandoned clinic. Hygiene becomes a top priority. Wash hands often. Keep water containers clean. Treat cuts immediately. A single infection could spread fast without hospitals. I trade some firewood for 2 small bottles of antiseptic. Not much, but it feels like armor. Day 28. Building defenses. We construct a lookout platform on top of the library roof. Just wooden beams, rope, and determination. It gives us a clear view down the main road. We also assign signal fires. 2 quick flares mean danger approaching. 1 long flare means gather. The world is starting to feel like a medieval village fire for signal barter, for currency and rules carved not in paper but in memory. Day 29. Darkness feels different. Now it's strange. I used to fear the dark. Now I navigate it like an old friend. I know every creak of my floorboards, every flicker of candlelight. Fear hasn't disappeared. It's just become familiar. People talk less now. Words are saved for things that matter, food, water, security. But in this silence, something new grows resilience. Day 30. 1 month without electricity. 30 days. A month of no lights, no screens, no engines, no music except the human voice I walk past my seedlings in the morning. They're growing strong. If I can keep them alive until day 35, they'll be ready for transplant. If not, well, have lost valuable time and food. At the library, we mark a milestone on the wall. Day 30. We are still here. People cheer quietly, not because it's over, but because we've adapted. Day 31. Wood as currency. It's strange how value shifts so fast. A month ago, wood was just something to build or burn for camping. Now it's wealth. People who manage to stockpile firewood are trading it for food, water, and even medical supplies. Today, I spend the morning splitting fallen branches I collected over the past week. My arms ache, but every piece stacked behind my house is security. I trade a small bundle for some dried meat from a neighbor. The air smells of constant smoke now. Every home has a small fire burning somewhere, for cooking, for warmth, for light. The sky is hazy at night. I write down, replenish firewood supply on day 40. Day 32. Time without clocks, without electricity. Time has lost its sharp edges. My old digital watch died 2 weeks ago. I wake up at sunrise and sleep after dark like everyone else. I build a crude sundial in the yard. Just a stick and some stones marking the shadows. It's surprisingly accurate. Neighbors start using it too. This reminds me how civilization grew around knowing time. Trains, factories, cities all synchronized. Now we follow the sun. On day 50, I want to build a more precise wooden water clock with help from an engineer down the street. Day 33. First harvest signs. The seeds I planted back in the first days are finally showing strong signs of growth. Green shoots peek through the soil. I kneel down and run my fingers gently through the earth. I know I won't be able to feed myself fully with this small garden, but it's proof of life, proof of adaptation. I cover the plants with old transparent plastic sheets at night to protect them from insects. I schedule the first real harvest for around day 4550, depending on weather. I also start thinking about saving seeds from this generation for the next planting cycle. This is how new stability begins. Day 34. Signs of a new ecosystem, without constant noise, without light pollution. Nature is reclaiming thee. City birds sing louder. Squirrels and foxes roam more openly. At night, bats fill the air. This is beautiful and dangerous. With more animals around, gardens like mine become easy targets. Today, I build a simple fence from scavenged wood and wire. It won't stop everything, but it's a start. I also noticed something else. Rats. Lots of them. Without working sanitation systems, trash piles up fast. You'll need to build proper storage for food by day 38, day 35, first garden maintenance check. This was the day I marked on the very first week. Check the seedlings. I spend hours pulling weeds, fixing broken stakes, and adding mulch to keep moisture in. The plants are healthy, but some leaves show signs of pests. I crush dried chili and mix it with water to make a natural insect repellent. I also expand the garden a bit, another 2 meters of soil for future planting. While digging, I realize how quiet it's become in my mind too. No buzzing screens, no notifications, just work, soil, and survival. Day 36. The light we lost. The long nights are wearing on people. Depression is creeping in. Without the glow of screens or city lights, darkness feels endless. Some neighbors try to cheer things up by making oil lamps from recycled jars and cloth. I make one too. It flickers weakly, but it's comforting. That night we share stories in the library by candlelight. It feels ancient, almost sacred. Someone says, maybe this is how humans were always meant to live. I don't fully agree, but I understand. Day 37. The rats arrive. I hear scratching under the floorboards early in the morning. Rats, just like I feared. With garbage piling up across the neighborhood, they're thriving. I spend most of the day sealing gaps in the cellar and raising food off the ground. I build a few simple traps using buckets and bait. At night, I set them all around the garden. I also build proper compost and waste pit by day 42 to reduce the trash piles if we don't handle this disease could spread. Day 38. Hygiene becomes strategy. Soap is running low. Water is harder to keep clean. Today, I dedicate the entire day to personal hygiene because sickness could be worse than hunger. I make lye soap from wood ash and fat. It's crude, but it works. I boil all my clothes and rags to kill bacteria. I dig a proper latrine trench away from the house and mark it for regular maintenance. The library group is planning a communal sanitation area. If it works, it could save lives. Day 39. Scarce this week. My barrels are almost empty. Streams nearby are dirty. We organize a group expedition to an old well, 4 kilometers away. It's exhausting carrying full containers back, but there's no choice. We set up a rotation schedule to fetch water every few days. I also improve my filtration system with layers of gravel and charcoal. Reminder, clean the filters again on day 45. Day 40. Preparing for the long haul. 40 days without power. It doesn't feel temporary anymore. It feels permanent. I spend the day reinforcing the fence, repairing tools, and splitting more firewood. I also dig a small root cellar extension for additional storage. It's damp but stable. The neighborhood is forming a kind of unwritten law. No electricity, but rules still emerge. Mutual Defense Shared Water Library Council. It's crude governance, but it's something. Before bed, I look at the stars brighter than I've ever seen them. I whisper to myself, this is the new normal. Day 41. Expanding the garden. The seedlings planted in the first week are growing steadily. Today, I clear a new patch of land in the schoolyard to expand our communal garden. We're planting beans, carrots, and some fast-growing greens. I also transplant the strongest sprouts from my personal garden into this shared space. Neighbors help willingly. It's clear everyone understands that survival depends on collaboration. I schedule a checkup for these new crops on day 55 to ensure pests haven't destroyed them. Meanwhile, I reinforce my own garden. Fence rats and stray animals are becoming bold. Without electricity, we rely entirely on physical barriers and vigilance. Day 42. Sanitation Initiative. The stench from waste is becoming noticeable in parts of the neighborhood. Today, the Library Council organizes a sanitation project. We dig a deeper communal latrine trench, mark it clearly, and set a rotation schedule for cleaning. I volunteered to help build a hand-washing station using rainwater barrels. Everyone is reminded that hygiene now equals survival. I also inspect my water barrels and replace the cloth covers. Any contamination could be disastrous. Don't check barrels again on day 50. Day 43. Candle shortage. Candle stock is running low. People are improvising with oil lamps, but fuel is scarce. I spend the day scavenging for wax in abandoned stores and recycling old candles. In the evening, we gather at the library and share our supplies. A barter system emerges. For light sources, one candle can be exchanged for 2 bundles of firewood or a small portion of dried food. I also take the time to record this system in my notebook. Future generations may need it if the blackout persists. Is working, but we notice gaps in coverage. I draw a simple map showing which streets each pair of watchers should patrol. We assign a rotation schedule for the next week. During my midnight shift, I spot 3 strangers attempting to enter an abandoned building near the perimeter. A single bell ring alerts the neighborhood. They flee. Security has become a priority. I write in my notes, reinforce weak points in barricades on day 47. Day 45. Rain and resource management. It finally rains a heavy, steady downpour. I collect as much water as possible. Barrels overflow and the ground soaks the excess, benefiting the communal garden. Today, I also test the water filtration system I built on day 39. It works better than expected. I refill bottles and store a few in the cellar for emergencies. Seeds in the garden are thriving, and I check each plant carefully. The first batch of greens should be ready to harvest by day 50. I plan a communal cooking session to test our food-sharing system. Day 46, tool maintenance without electricity. Every tool matters. I spend the day sharpening knives, axes, and garden implements. A dull blade can be dangerous or useless. In survival conditions, I also repair broken shovels and pickaxes scavenged from abandoned sites. Everyone in the neighborhood begins to understand that labor skill and tools are the new currency. I schedule further tool inspections on day 60 to maintain efficiency. Day 47, testing food preservation. I experiment with storing vegetables in my root cellar. I line crates with straw to keep humidity stable and test drying herbs and greens on racks. The Library Council discusses how to share preserved food fairly. A schedule is created, rotation for storage sharing. Every 5th day, I note, reevaluate preservation methods on day 55. Without refrigeration, survival depends on ingenuity. Day 48. Fence expansion. Animals and strangers are testing boundaries. I spend the day expanding fences and reinforcing gates around my home and the communal garden. I add simple traps to deter rodents. I also discuss with neighbors the possibility of building a small watchtower by day 52. Visibility is the only advantage we have at night. Day 49. Community morale. The first signs of psychological strain are visible. Dark nights, lack of entertainment, and constant tension take a toll. We hold a small gathering at the library courtyard. People share stories, sing softly, and play makeshift instruments. Morale rises. I remind myself mental health is as critical as food and water. I schedule similar gatherings every 5 days. Day 50, first real harvest. The garden produces its first crops, lettuce, radishes, and spinach. We harvest carefully and share it among everyone. The joy of eating something fresh after weeks of rationed, dried food is remarkable. I also inspect seedlings for the next wave of planting, ensuring continuity. Notes: plant more root vegetables by day 55. The success reinforces a sense of purpose. People now see the value of long-term planning and teamwork. Day 51. Structural repairs. I notice a section of the library roof has been weakened by rain. Today is spent patching holes and reinforcing beams. Without electricity, even minor structural issues become major risks. I also create a list of materials we need for future repairs, wood nails, tarps, and assign neighbors to gather them. Planning ahead is now a survival skill. Day 52. Cooking efficiency. With more firewood and vegetables, we experiment with communal cooking techniques. Open fire stoves, solar reflectors, and clay ovens are tested. Efficiency is key. Conserve fuel feed. More people and avoid smoke that could attract attention. I document recipes and methods for the group's benefit. Day 53. Security reassessment. After a minor attempted theft near the edge of our perimeter, we review our night watch strategy. I adjust patrol routes and coordinate shifts to cover previously unguarded areas. I also set up simple visual markers along the fence to detect breaches. Security is an ongoing project. Day 54. Garden inspection. All plants are healthy. Some tomato vines show buds. I mark the expected harvest for day 65. I also rotate some crops to improve soil fertility. Working in the garden has become meditative. Just food, it's hope. Day 55. Sanitation checkpoint. I inspect latrines, wash stations, and water barrels. All are functioning well. Minor adjustments are made to prevent contamination. Hygiene remains the cornerstone of survival. Sick individuals could devastate the community. Day 56. Barter and trade. Trade systems have matured. People bring food, water, tools, and skills to exchange. Coins are worthless. Value is defined by usefulness. I trade a bundle of firewood for extra seeds to plant in the communal garden. Stockpiling now has strategy, not hoarding. Day 57. Expanding food security. The communal garden is thriving, but we need more diversity to survive the coming months. Today, I plant potatoes and beans, alternating rows to maintain soil fertility. I also build additional stakes for tomato vines and create a small trellis using scavenged wood. Neighbors contribute seeds and labor willingly. The shared success is reinforcing trust. I schedule a check on growth and pest control for day 70. At home, I prepare a small indoor seedling box for faster-growing plants like lettuce and herbs, planning to transplant them to the communal garden in a few weeks. Day 58. Security drill. After the minor theft incidents, we organize a night security drill. All members of the library council participate. Bells, whistles, and visual markers are tested, and everyone practices the response to an intruder. We realize our perimeter has blind spots. I mark these on a crude map and plan to reinforce them by day 62. It's exhausting but necessary. Safety is now as vital as food or water. Day 59. Tool workshop. Today is dedicated to repairing and improvising tools. Broken axes, shovels, and garden implements are fixed. I also construct a makeshift sharpening station using stones and sand. I trade a repaired saw with a neighbor for a bag of dried beans. Skills are the new currency. I also start designing a larger storage rack for communal tools, planning installation on day 63, day 60, 1 month. Beyond the first 30 days, 60 days without electricity. The world feels alien, yet adaptation has brought order. The library council meets. At sunrise, topics include garden expansion, water rationing, night watch rotations, community morale activities. We agree on a new initiative. a knowledge archive to store practical skills, manuals, and recipes. Without power, this archive is priceless. At home, I check my seedling trays. Early vegetables are growing strong. I mark. Day 65 for first small transplant into the garden. Day 61, harvest preparations. With the first harvest approaching, I prepare storage areas. Root cellars are expanded and insulated with straw. I line baskets with cloth to prevent bruising. Neighbors help sort and share early greens. Cooperation is vital. We discuss future rationing in case the blackout continues indefinitely. Day 62, reinforcing the perimeter. I fix blind spots in our security perimeter. New stakes and string alarms are added. The small watchtower is reinforced with extra planks scavenged from abandoned buildings. The night patrol now has clear lines of sight. Confidence in safety has increased. I note inspect alarms after heavy rain on day 66, day 63, tool storage. Installation. Organized storage makes it easier to find and borrow implements. Everyone is encouraged to maintain it. I also start schedules for each tool. Small organization prevents chaos as time without electricity drags on. Day 64, rain and soil. Maintenance. Heavy rainfall has improved soil conditions in the garden. I dig shallow trenches for drainage and redistribute mulch to prevent erosion. The seedlings in my personal plot are ready for transplantation. I plan the move for tomorrow. This will increase food production significantly. Day 65. Transplanting seedlings. The first batch of indoor seedlings is transplanted to the communal garden. I gently cover them with plastic sheets at night to protect them from pests. Neighbors work alongside me, planting in rows and reinforcing stakes. The garden now has multiple layers: early greens, beans, potatoes, and tomatoes. I set reminders for day 80 for pest control and growth inspection. Day 66, rain damage inspection. The alarms and security strings are inspected after last night's rain. A few weak points are reinforced and minor repairs are made to the watchtower. I also walk the neighborhood checking homes for water damage. Several roofs need minor patching. I plan a community repair day for day 70. Day 67. Communal cooking. With vegetables ready, we hold the first large-scale communal cooking session. Open fires and clay ovens are used efficiently to prepare meals for about 20 people. I note recipes, firewood usage, and cooking times in my journal for future reference. Food planning is becoming a science. Day 68. Waste management. Garbage continues to be a problem. I organize a team to collect trash and compost. Organic material. Covered pits are used to reduce odors and deter animals. The Library Council decides to assign daily cleanup duties on a rotation schedule. Order is slowly emerging from the chaos. Day 69. Pest control in the garden. I apply natural pest deterrents, crushed chili ash, and herbs sprinkled around vulnerable plants. Rats and insects are the main threat. I check fences and barriers, repairing gaps. Survival is now equal parts vigilance and cultivation. Day 70. Roof repairs and reinforcement. Community repair day. Several neighbors help patch roofs, reinforce weak structures, and build simple drainage channels. The Library Council emphasizes safety and coordination. Everyone works together. It's exhausting but necessary. I also inspect the root cellar and storage areas. Everything is stable. Day 71. Preparing for the next planting cycle. The garden has matured. Early greens have been harvested and soil needs replenishment. Today, I mix composted organic matter From yesterday's cleanup into the soil, improving fertility, neighbors bring seeds for root vegetables, carrots, beets, and turnips. We divide the garden into sections, some for immediate food, some for long-term crops, and some experimental plots for fast-growing plants. I mark day 85 for the next major planting session. This long-term planting is becoming routine. Day 72 perimeter watch. Upgrade threats from outsiders are increasing. Today, we add new bells and string alarms along the perimeter. Each post is reinforced with extra stakes. I create a small diagram showing alarm positions for quick training of new community members. Security isn't just physical anymore. It's about coordination and communication. Day 73. Fire efficiency review. Wood is still the main fuel source. I experiment with stacking wood for optimal burning in open fires and clay ovens. Neighbors share techniques such as smaller controlled fires for cooking and larger fires for warmth at night. We calculate how much wood is needed per week and ration accordingly. Day 74. Garden expansion planning. I scout a nearby abandoned park for additional planting space. Soil seems fertile, though a little sandy. I plan to clear it over the next week with volunteer help. This extra space will allow for potatoes, beans, and experimental crops. I note. Begin clearing day 76 plant. Day 80, day 75. First community feast. With harvest from multiple plots, we hold a community meal at the library courtyard. Everyone brings something. Herbs, greens, bread preserved. It's more than food. Morale rises. People sing softly, share stories, and begin forming bonds that will be critical for the coming months. I document cooking methods and ration portions for future gatherings. Efficiency and fairness are key. Day 76. Clearing new garden space. Volunteers gather to clear the park. Fallen branches, rubble, and weeds are removed. I mark rows for planting and check soil composition. Neighbors bring makeshift tools, axes, shovels, hoes, and everyone works together. Cooperation feels almost like old civilization again, but without electricity or infrastructure. I schedule day 80 for the first planting session in the new area. Day 77. Lighting strategy. Candle and oil lamp supplies are dwindling. I experiment with reflective surfaces to maximize light from a single flame. We also assign households rotating night duties to reduce individual fatigue. Darkness is still a psychological burden, but planning and shared responsibility make it manageable. Day 78. Pest prevention. Rats are still a problem. I set additional traps around both the personal and communal gardens. Neighbors and I discuss natural pest deterrents, planting marigolds, sprinkling ash, and creating noise devices. The battle against pests is ongoing and requires constant vigilance. Day 79. Waste management update. Trash is collected, sorted, and buried, or composted. We construct additional covered pits for organic waste to reduce smells and prevent attracting animals. I also train 2 neighbors on proper hygiene techniques to prevent disease spread. Without hospitals or electricity, cleanliness is now a form of armor. Day 80. Planting new crops. The cleared park area is ready. Today we plant potatoes, beans, and fast-growing greens. Stakes and trellises are installed immediately to ensure stability. The community now has 2 major food production zones, the schoolyard garden and the park plot. I schedule growth checks for day 95 and a minor harvest on day 100 day. 81. Night patrol optimization. Night watch is refined. Everyone knows routes, alarm locations, and communication signals. We add visual markers and small reflective tapes to increase visibility without creating light sources. The community now has confidence that perimeter breaches will be noticed early. Day 82. Food preservation techniques. I experiment with drying herbs, leaves, and root vegetables using sunlight and smoke. Preserving food is now as important as growing it. I share methods with neighbors and create a schedule for drying and storing. The cellar is reorganized to maximize space and prevent spoilage. Day 83. Tool Maintenance Day. All communal tools are inspected, sharpened, and repaired. I also create a simple maintenance log to track usage and repair dates. Neighbors learn basic repair skills. Knowledge sharing is becoming a survival tool, not just convenience. Day 84. Water collection, expansion. We add additional rainwater barrels and improve gutter collection systems. This ensures redundancy. If some barrels fail or leak, filtration is double-checked. I note, inspect all water systems. Day 95. Day 85. Day 85. Second major. Planting root vegetables and fast-growing crops are planted in sections previously cleared and fertilized. The schoolyard and park gardens are now fully productive. I assign sections to neighbors to maintain responsibility. I also plan protective measures against potential raiders who may target the gardens. Day 86. Hygiene and health inspection. Hand washing stations are checked, latrines cleaned, and water barrels sanitized. Minor repairs are made. I also teach a small group basic first aid using limited supplies. Disease prevention remains as critical as food production. Day 87. Reinforcing security structures. We also assign scouts to monitor nearby streets during first harvests of beans and greens in the new plot are expected in a week. I schedule rationing and sharing plans to avoid disputes. Neighbors are excited. Food security now feels tangible, a psychological boost after nearly 3 months of adaptation. Day 89. Lighting innovation. Reflective lanterns are optimized for maximum efficiency. A single flame now provides light for several households during critical tasks. I experiment with mirrors and metal sheets to improve intensity. Shared knowledge ensures everyone benefits. Day 90. Midway. Reflection. 90 days without electricity. The community is organized. 2 productive gardens, water, and sanitation systems. Night watch. And security barter and trade networks, knowledge archive and skill sharing. Morale is high, though tension remains. We've survived by cooperation, innovation, and constant vigilance. Day 91. Walk through the plots with neighbors checking for pests, uneven growth, or damage from weather. Small repairs to fences and trellises are made. I also assign daily watering shifts for the next week. Planning now ensures that harvests remain abundant. Day 92. Fire and cooking efficiency. Review. Open fires and clay ovens are refined. Today, we run a cooking trial for the community, preparing large meals efficiently using minimal firewood. The solar cooker is tested with beans and root vegetables, taking advantage of the sunny afternoon. Lessons learned are documented for future reference. Efficiency now equals survival, and everyone understands. The balance of fuel, food, and labor. Day 93. Threat monitoring. Outsiders have been spotted near the perimeter earlier this week. Today, scouts report minor signs of movement, footprints, broken branches, and smoke in the distance. Night watch shifts are adjusted, patrol routes refined, and alarms checked. We reinforce the importance of vigilance while avoiding panic. The community realizes that survival depends on awareness as much as preparation. Day 94. Water system maintenance. I inspect all water barrels, gutters, and filtration systems. Some barrels are cleaned and resealed. Others relocated for better collection. Filtration is double-checked and extra jars of clean water are buried in the cellar as an emergency reserve. Contingency planning is now routine. Day 95. Pest control and crop protection. Pests are beginning to attack the crops. Rats and insects threaten young vegetables. I apply natural deterrents and reinforce fences around both gardens. Neighbor volunteers help monitor the plots. I also schedule a minor harvest for the most vulnerable crops to reduce potential losses before. Day 100. Day 96. Preserving the harvest. Early harvested crops are dried, stored in cellars, or smoked. Root vegetables are layered in straw and stored in barrels. Neighbors help, and methods are refined to maximize shelf life. Food security feels tangible now. We finally have enough reserves to withstand further shortages. Day 97. Tool and equipment review. All communal and personal tools are inspected. Broken handles are replaced, blades sharpened, and spare wood collected for repairs. We also organize storage areas for efficiency, ensuring that anyone can quickly access tools when needed. Proper organization reduces time wasted and prevents conflicts. Day 98. Night. Vigil and morale boost. We hold a special community night watch to test all systems. Alarms, bell signals, patrol routes. Everything functions smoothly. Afterward, we gather at the library courtyard. Candles flicker, stories are shared, and the first feelings of cultural reconstruction appear. Music, laughter, and shared meals. Mental health is as important as physical survival. Day 99. Preparing for the final day. The gardens, the healthy water systems secure, and the community well organized. I take time to walk through the neighborhood, inspecting security, storage, and communal areas. Plans are finalized for Day 100, minor harvest of mature crops. Community gathering to celebrate survival. Review of knowledge, archive, food stores, and resources. Reflection on lessons learned. Everything is now in a stable state. Chaos has given way to order. Day 10. 100 days without electricity. A century of days ends today. The world is not the one we knew. It is darker, slower, and harsher. Yet we survived. The community gathers at the library courtyard. The gardens provide food, clean water flows, night watch systems function, and tools are organized. The knowledge archive is ready for future generations. We share a meal from the first true harvest, laugh, and exchange stories of hardship and triumph. Reflection, survival depends on cooperation, trust, and adaptability. Knowledge, skills, and planning are more valuable than material possessions. Darkness and scarcity teach patience and resilience. Community bonds are now as crucial as food and water. I look at the seedlings we planted on day 3, now thriving vegetables ready to feed us in the next cycle. A new rhythm has been established. Work, harvest, protect, and reflect. Life continues, not as it was, but as it can be, strong, connected, and enduring.